Hi there, my name is Melissa Swink. I'm the founder and CEO of a virtual assistant services company, and our team provides administrative, marketing, and operational support for businesses and nonprofits. Today, I want to talk about building support before you burn out. Because one of the most common things that I see with established business owners, and when I say business owners, you can also think leaders, executive directors, you can use those terms interchangeably based on specifically you and your role in your company or organization. One of the most common things that I see is this: they have support, but they're still overwhelmed. You have a team or you have a virtual assistant, but you're still overwhelmed. And the truth is that the issue usually isn't capacity, it's how that support is structured. So if you feel like everything still runs through you, even with help in place, this is probably why. So we want to first talk about the real problem and some of the warning signs to help you indicate, maybe I don't quite have the right support, or maybe I truly am on the verge of burnout, or maybe you're like, girl, I'm already there. I've got you. We're going to talk about what to do about that. So stay tuned. First things first, the real problem. Maybe you've added help, but it tends to be more reactive instead of proactive. And what I mean by reactive could be that you are still assigning all those tasks out. So something comes to you, and then you are making a conscious decision to ask for help with those specific things. Like, I need to get this proposal out to a potential client. I am going to ask my assistant to help me prep that proposal. Like, it just, everything is still coming through you, and you are still kind of dispatching work out to other people. On a related note, maybe you've added help, but it's still very task based instead of ownership based. In the scenario I just described, you still own that responsibility of prepping that proposal, but you are asking for help with some of the tasks related to that. Whereas if you completely outsource something to another person, again, I use the word outsource. That could be, an outside contractor, that could be an internal employee, team member. Stay with me here. Outsource, delegate, assign. Some of these terms can be used interchangeably, but maybe it's taking that step of handing off full ownership. An example that I used in the last video, and I'll return to it here, is I last year outsourced my team payments to my bookkeeper. We were working well together, and I knew that I could trust her to do more accounting related things for the company. And so she now has full ownership of team payments. I'm not sending her the invoices that come in from team members and vendors who need to get paid. They're going to her. She is reviewing them. She is approving them. She is paying them. That's completely off my plate. Unless there's something really weird going on, then I am not involved with that at all. So that's ownership based versus task based. So the other thing is that maybe you've added the help of a team member or an assistant, but it still just relies on you to function. So again, in those examples, you are the one overseeing the work, you're reviewing it, you're assigning it, you're doing all the things. So instead of creating space, when you have more task-oriented help, it creates more questions, it creates more touch points, more handoffs, right? Because I receive the information, they receive the information, they send it back, I review, I send it back to them, I finalize. There's just a lot of work bouncing around, right? More touch points and just more decision fatigue, right? Like, for example, maybe you have a marketing team and they need you to approve a photo to use for the blog or the email that's going out. You don't necessarily need to be taking your time to go through and select a picture or to approve a picture for a blog. Like, if you have the standards set in place, that shouldn't be happening. But again, we see these things all the time, the decision fatigue and just all the things, again, moving through you, like you are kind of the central air traffic control tower, if that makes sense. And the reality is that burnout doesn't happen because you have too much to do. Maybe that is true for some, but overall it happens because it's all still running through you. Okay. So here's some of the warning signs of burnout that I just want to touch on, because some of these you might recognize. You can't fully unplug even for a day. I remember, and I'm going to share more about, how my business structure has evolved over the years, but I remember not being able to go on vacation, or I remember taking calls during, holidays. I remember going on vacations where I would check my email at the beginning of each day before I could go out and enjoy myself. And you all might be nodding your head right now, like, yes, I do check in. That is a good signal that you don't quite have the right support around you in order to fully unplug. Another indicator could be that your team still needs you for day to day decisions. We talked about that. Maybe you're answering messages on, nights, weekends, or while you're away. Again, using that vacation example, just because you're doing all of your own work during the day, you're out on sales appointments or you are on site, consulting with a client or what have you. And then nighttime rolls around and that's when you're getting caught up and responding to questions that have come in throughout the day. Maybe you have a team, but you know that you are still carrying the mental load of all the things that have to get done. Because the truth is that burnout is not usually one big moment. Like it's not one big loss of a critical team member. It's not one big failure of a new service launch or something like that. It's just that constant low level interruption. So, we're going to talk about 3 shifts to build the right support around you, again, before you burn out or to reduce your risk of being burnt out, or maybe to alleviate the burnout that you're already feeling. So, shift number 1 is to redefine what support means. So, task based support is usually, a happy helper who wants to serve and they're asking questions like, what do you want me to do next? Can you review this? Or what do you think about this? What should I do about that? It's very task oriented. Whereas ownership based, this person is going to anticipate your needs. They're going to make decisions within a framework that you've agreed upon. We talked about this briefly in the last video is, having that low risk decisions, medium risk decisions, and high risk decisions. The low risk decisions, you can put some parameters in place, like this is how these things need to be handled, and it's off your plate completely. You don't even need to hear about it, know about it. And then the medium risk decisions, again, maybe we have some, if this happens, this is what we do. You want to be in the loop, but you're not the one, again, directing those decisions. High risk decisions, that is when you want your team to get your involvement. Maybe that is a security breach. Maybe that is an upset customer that needs, some course correction happening. You can put those frameworks in place so that you are not being dragged into every single decision that has to get made. And just overall, the right ownership based support is going to manage outcomes, right? Where you're not having to follow things all the way through to the end, making sure that they're getting done, that they are getting completed, they are being evaluated, and all of those things by other people and not you. Okay, shift number 2 is to build a layer between you and the work, because many business owners and many leaders are operating as the main point of contact for their team, their clients, the tasks that need to be done, on a day-to-day basis, whether it be the company as a whole or your particular department. But what they actually need is a layer that sits between them and the day-to-day, because they can't possibly have their arms around everything at any given moment. So I wanted to share a little bit more about how my company and structure has evolved over time. So when I first started my company in 2012, I worked primarily on my own. I worked very closely with my clients. I did all the work that they were assigning to me, and I took over all the responsibilities that they removed from their plates. And I thought I wanted a small manageable business, but it turned out that really started to manage me. And I just got to the point where I didn't have a backup. So if I went on vacation or if my daughter got sick and needed to stay home from school or daycare, work stopped because it was all on my shoulders. So after a lot of resistance and doing a lot of growth work, I decided that I really needed to hire a team. The early stages of having the team was exactly the task based support that I've been describing to you, because I was still client facing. And then I had the team helping me behind the scenes execute on the work that the clients were handing off to us. And so clients, gave me their tasks and responsibilities, and then my team completed them. Or if my team had questions, then they would come back to me and I would answer them and, confirm to the client, this is all done. And, here were the results and all the things. but it was all flowing through me. So I was a major air traffic controller. And so in the early stages, it gave me some initial relief because I was no longer doing all the doing. But as that structure grew, I was just responding to messages all day long and I got really, really tired, really exhausted. And so now, fast forward to today, we've changed the way that we've structured the company, not only to benefit our clients, but also to meet the needs that I had of a leader of a growing business. So the way that we work with our clients now, just to give you kind of a preview of what this looks like, is that every client is matched with a lead virtual assistant. This person serves as their account manager, their account lead. They work very closely with the client. They own client communications and the execution of the things that the client is outsourcing to us. Above that, we have a senior VA who oversees the quality, supports the team, ensures that things run smoothly behind the scenes. Now, if the lead VA is helping the client with work that maybe exceeds their skill set or exceeds their capacity, we have people on the team who can work under the direction of that lead VA in order to get that done. We call them specialized team members. They often handle specific areas like social media or bookkeeping, things like that. Again, this is all happening under direction of that lead VA. So that client isn't managing multiple people. Lead VA isn't the bottleneck for everything getting done. It's really easy for them to bring other team members in to support them so that the work for our clients gets done the way that it needs to they in a reasonable amount of time. And again, that client is not limited to that one person's availability and skill set. So ultimately, we built this structure because it creates a buffer so that not everything comes back to me and clients again are not putting all their eggs in one basket in terms of any one particular virtual assistant. So all of that being said, I want to move on to shift number 3 and then wrap things up for you. So we want to build this structure before we need it. I see this all the time. Timing matters more than people think. Most business owners or leaders, executive directors wait until they are completely overwhelmed. Things are falling apart. They need immediate relief, right? They book a call with me and they're like, SOS, I need help. And that, by all means, that is exactly what you need to do. But this could be a whole lot easier. We could get to this. We could get the support in place before you get to that point, and that's the ideal, right? Because the true cost of waiting is that you reinforce being the bottleneck. Because now you've been in this role or this company for a while, whether that be, a year or decades sometimes, and you have kind of trained people on how to interact and how to work with you. So you reinforce being the bottleneck. You've trained people to rely on you, and it makes it harder for you to step back later. It's not impossible. I want you to know that we can absolutely make these shifts together, but it would be better to do this on more of a proactive basis and more on, I would say, like a design or an architecture basis, knowing like, hey, I want to double my company this year. And I need to make sure that I have the right structure and support in place so that I can do that where it doesn't become a nightmare for me to manage all of these things. Because the truth is, and I want to leave you with this, the way that your business runs today is what you've unintentionally trained people to expect. Again, we can untrain, we can modify, we can improve. It's all fixable. But again, it's better to do it early on rather than later. So, as we close here, take a look at your current support. Are they helping you or are they actually supporting you? Are they taking full ownership and responsibility for the things that they are assigned? So, if you need a team to provide operation support, ownership based support, operation support too, we do that, but ownership based support, or if you already have a team in place, you're working with a virtual assistant, you have an assistant, and you need help creating more of that ownership-based support within your company or organization, send me an email, hello@melissaswink.com, or visit our website. Happy to help. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.